Salute everyone. Welcome to the program, Bronx Sports Jedi with Austin, MMA Talk. What's up, Austin? How you doing?
Doing good, better than last week. I'll say that.
That's good. Very good. Very good. We got a lot to unpack. In a few minutes, Chef Dan will be with us, joining the broadcast partnership. We're going to start around. Let's go. Let's see. Let me see where the token, where our faith is going to leave us this stream. Let's go. Let's go with the card that happened over the weekend. Last week, we all know Bellator had that big card, middleweight world championship fight. Let's break it down, Austin. Let's go right to it. Want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I'll start with the main event. I'll start with Gegard Mousasi being John Salters in the third round. We had TKO strikes. It was a great performance by Mousasi. I mean, Salters won the first round. Salters is a grappler and tends start off very strong, and he was strong, but Gegard with experience was able to basically neutralize any of Salters' his submission attempts and even some of his takedowns. And Salters worked and gassed himself out. That was one of the things going to this fight that some of the people were talking about is Salters in the third round tends to fade, and especially in a championship fight, you can't really do that. And as Salters kept going for takedowns, Salters got more tired, and which made it easier for Gegard to pick him apart and stand up, especially in that second and third round. To the point where Gegard was even walking through some shots, basically didn't respect Salters' power. Now, granted, a lot him being tired probably helped, but still. And then he was able to lay some shots on him, and then the third round was able to drop him. No, I think it was Salters for a takedown, then Salters couldn't get in. Gegard reversed it and finished him with strikes on the bottom. I mean, Gegard finished Salters with strikes on top, excuse me, and was able to defend his title. First title defense of the second title reign middleweight champion. Gegard Mousasi wins again. I believe his record is 47 or 48, 7-2, which is impressive considering that's 50 plus fights, and he's avenged some of those losses too. So, yeah, Gegard Mousasi continues to be consistent, still one of the best fighters in the world, despite fighting. I think he made his debut like 14, no, that's 17 years ago. I forget when he's made his debut, but he's been fighting for 15 years. What to say that?
Wow. Yeah, I thought Salters ran out of gas as well, but Gegard Mousasi, impressive fighter. You could tell he's top notch for prize fighting, and he was just ready. He was just ready, conditioning wise. Every aspect, he was always a bit more ahead of Gegard, of John Salters, and it just showed his conditioning. Just kept going, and like you said, Salters like he ran out of gas in that third round, and a good fighter like Mousasi, he just capitalized and he took advantage of it, and he earned himself a well earned victory. Really wasn't really damage. Didn't really feel any punches, in my opinion. It was more like to me, like he was in a cage back at a training, and he was in training facilities. It looked like. I mean, yes, you can't underestimate the power of John Salters and his striking abilities, but it just looked to the whole fight. It looked like a walk in the park, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Salters, once he couldn't get a takedown, get submission, it looked like he was like in trouble. And Gegard, stand up is pretty good. I mean, he probably has the best jab in MMA. Mousasi, and he proves why Aiko is considered the most underrated fighter in MMA history. I mean, because he always wins and he still finds ways to win, and yet no one ever talks about him as one of the elite of the elite in terms of all MMA. Considering this guy's, he's won Strikeforce, he's won in UFC, he's won fights in Pride back in the day, and Dream over in Japan as well, and all these other organizations. So, Yeah, Musasi's, adding another notch to his legacy. Definitely, he already has a Hall of Fame legacy, but it's just another like the cherry on top, basically of a Sunday. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I understand what you're telling me with that. And now what do you? It looks like he really doesn't have too much of a competition in that division. Who anybody in particular stands up or comes to mind that will give this this the champion a good competitive fight? What do you think? Or he's just gonna have he's gonna it's just a run of domination in the Bellator division.
Well, maybe even then, I still want to question it. I mean, Austin Vandervoort, that's his name. I know he's number two guy, and he behind Salters, and he's 11-0. Comes from a great Jam American top team, and he has good good wrestling. He does take guys down. Will continue to take guys down even if he doesn't get it. However, I still think Musasi is still a better striker. I mean, yeah, guys try to take down Musasi, but he's gotten better at like stuffing takedowns and getting off of it. Oh, excuse me. And like, and even though he comes from a great gym, I think Masasa's experience could be the deciding factor in that fight when it does happen. Probably happen early next year because Vanderford is recovering from an elbow injury, so be a little bit before he offends that, but before Vanderford fights him for the title. But yeah, other than that, I don't think anyone really. I mean, unless I check I don't think anybody really. I mean, Masasi maybe goes up to 205, maybe later on because he was a light heavyweight champion Strike Force at 205, so he's had success there. Or unless you just want to stay at 185, but he is 36, and the older you are, it's harder to cut weight. So who knows? We'll see with Musasi.
Right, right. I agree with that. I see that with Musasi. He's right now dominating and champion, and hopefully that young man that is going to fight him recovers from that arm issue, the elbow issue, and we could get a good fight coming up. It looks like, in my opinion, the way it looks like, because he was in a sling or he had that arm brace, it looks like, to me personally, it looked like around March or February, the earliest, if they might see these guys fight there.
Yeah, early next year, definitely probably see it, and that probably
Wow.
who knows? Yeah, so
Salute. We got Chef Dan in the building. Hopefully, when he's ready to come on, he'll let us know when he go come right back in. And salute to Carlos. Salute Carlos. What's going on? Muchos saludos. Salud. I'm doing a little MMA. Thank you for coming on. I hope everyone in the family is doing well there. And hopefully we get some news about some baseball, some fall baseball little league for little Tanky Rodriguez there. So salute. Thank you for coming by.
you guys, thank you for watching, and yeah, and also I want to do a shout out to Andre Koreskov, who won the co-main event of this fight, 30-27, 30-26, and two judges scorecards. Hamasi fought a smarter fight than he usually does, where it's a little more wild. He was more patient and really didn't do too many things wrong. Like, well, he lost the fight, but it wasn't like he was being stupid and lost the fight. Just Koreshkov just fought a better fight. Koreshkov proved how good he is, and he put it on him. He put it on Hamasi, Koreshkov is easily when he's I think he is like maybe in the Bellator division. He's top, in the top five in welterweights in my opinion, along with the champion Anzarov, Lima, MVP, and guys like that. And Koreshkov to me is a top 10 MMA welterweight, even kind of UFC and other promotions. He's in the top 10 personally. Yeah, I mean, I don't know personally to me, but but he showed it against tough fighter Homasi who took some shots but yet didn't get finished. So he's got a chin, and Homasi I think should be back. Should probably should be back and hopefully learn from this. Hopefully, and Dan is right. I see his comment. He mentioned that Carrasco's the only guy he's seen land multiple flying knees in a fight, which is true. That's a good point. That's a good point by Dan. And yeah, I mean, Carrasco's fun to watch. I mean, all he has to do is beat somebody in the top five. Like maybe like somebody in the top six, really, like Logan Story if he wins this fight this week, or shoot, not Jason Jackson. Forgetting who else. Neiman Gracie, if he beat one of those guys, there's no reason why Koreshkov can't fight for the world title again. But yeah, Koreshkov definitely, he's just another example of Russian MMA fighters doing well in MMA, which seems like a lot of them are doing well. It doesn't matter from Dagestan, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Siberia, they just do well. And speaking of Dan, is he here?
Yes, he's here, ladies and gentlemen. Chef Dan in the building. Wait, let me bring him back. Excuse me, Dan. Hold on. Let me. It gets. I'm on a little delay with my buttons here. Chef Dan, what's going on, my partner?
Hey, salute to everyone. How you guys doing? Hope everyone's day was doing well. I initially didn't catch the preliminaries that day because that day I chose to get the first shot of the vaccine, so it knocked me out. But I was able to catch it on YouTube later on. So I saw that, and I saw I saw the co-main event and the main event. Both were very great fights. And to me, it seemed like the Bellator put on a great event.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It seemed like they did, and also this fight was pretty good. The third fight to of the show, where Rafael Stotts defeated Magomedov, and 29-28, 30-27 to the judges' scorecards. This was excellent. I mean, back and forth. I mean, Stotts was able to take like his wrestling really worked well against Magomedov. Although Magomedov, I think, took him down the third round and like or they were reverse position, something like that, I believe. And there's times where both guys were in trouble, but Stotts seemed just a step ahead of Magomedov and really put on him. And he gave a speech always after post fight about how American doesn't matter if you're from Dagestan or Russia, American wrestling still legit or something like that. Which his post fight speech was pretty damn entertaining. You watch it, you go, that was nice. Yeah, I really like the suggestion of a Bellator 135 Grand Prix, which I think I'm in favor of. Hopefully, do it once we get the finals of the light heavyweight Grand Prix. Which we should get the final. We should know who's going to be in the finals by October. And yeah, I mean, Rafael Stone's got a great personality. Teammates with the champ Sergio Pettis got a big win against a guy from Dagestan, Russia, who's 18-1 at this point. And he's the only guy to beat Pierre Yan, and Stotts established himself as one of the legit top 135ers in the world, top 10 in all of MMA, include Bellator and UFC, and one championship. He's up there along with Magomedov. And I do like his suggestion of the Bellator Grand Prix. Hopefully, maybe keep Magomed and Stotts in the opposite size of the bracket, and if not, then maybe him and his teammate can fight each other, Sergio Pettis. And
I only caught the third round of that fight, so I didn't want to speak too much on it. But the fact that what's his name again?
Magomedov?
No, the winner, Stotts. The fact that he suggested the Grand Prix, that was very interesting to me. It let me know that he's up for the competition. He knows that without the risk, there's no reward. And the commentators, Big John McCarthy, said something interesting. He said, the fact that he suggested a Grand Prix means that, he knows that there's a possibility that he could have a rematch with Magomedov. So that would be interesting. But if he's vying for it, like they said, if I was him, I'd tell him wherever side of the bracket I'm on, just put me on whatever side of the bracket that I'm on, put him on the opposite. If we face again, it's in the finals.
Right, but he said he didn't mind fighting him again, which I liked it. I like when he said it in the interview. I think he said, "Hey, we have to fight again. We fight again." I'm up for it, which I like that. I was like, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's get it." I was excited. I was pumped with that interview, and when he suggested, I think it shows that life and that excitement to a tournament style of fight. That's what you want. You want a tournament. The way what we had a couple of weeks ago, we had the pre for when we saw Pitbull lose to McKinney. It was all that intensity and all that build up, and it lived up to the hype because there's $1 million behind it. Every fighter in that Grand Prix gave their best because not only you had a chance to win the title belt, the lightweight title, you also get $1 million purse. You're like, wow, and brings out the best out of everyone. And I hope that Bellator gets it. Bellator gets it, and I think it keeps us as fans invested and want to see more. And I like that going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with everything you said there, and it makes them stand out from the UFC. It's the Grand Prix, but you got to if you want to get people to watch, and this is a great way to do it. Especially since you have a great weight talent in the 135 weight class. Why not just do it there? It makes sense. And as I said, whoever wins not only gets $1 million, but it's the champion as well. So win-win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's my recap. I didn't see. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I wanted to talk about the co-main event. Since we've all seen it, let's go with that. We the Rafael Stouts match. And Magomedov was good. But let's talk about the was it Hosseini and
No,
Andrew
Koreshkov. I already talked about it. I was talking about it earlier.
Okay.
Oh, I just
Right,
wanted to.
but Dan.
Oh yeah, it's right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention about that fight. Oh man, that fight and the main event, it makes you love the veterans of the game. It really does. Because when you see these guys, like after a certain amount of time that they've spent in the ring, they know what a 3-fight round consists of, and they know what a 5-round fight consists of. So they bring what is necessary for them to, get the desired outcome that they need. And these guys, Andre, I don't want to butcher, Koreshkov and Gerard Mousasi, like these guys were just excellent in the way that they, executed their game plans. Andre Koreshkov, like I said it in the chat, I have never seen a guy land multiple flying knees in a fight. Like, and he, it like, and we, oh man, I don't know, I can't compare it to another guy. Like he timed it, and when he wanted to land it, he landed it, and he shook what's the guy's name? I'm sorry. Hosseini. I don't want to butcher these guys' last name, but he landed it, and he shook him. I say, especially, what was it, the second or the third round, where he landed it just near the temple or near the top of the head on the side, and he made him land in a sprawl. And from there, you saw him technically trying, if it wasn't ground and pound, he was switching from that to submission. And it was just the transitions. It's the transition moments right there that you watch for, because in that moment, they can do either or. And that's what you love about the veterans. And that's why that fight was such a great fight to me.
It was a very good fight. Overall, Bellator has been putting some real good fights. The whole mixed martial arts, combat sports, from UFC to Bellator, and now FPL, they've been putting on some good fights. I've been watching some of the highlights with the knockouts and all. Man, it looks, if you're a combat sport mixed martial arts fan, you're getting a cream of the cream in 2021 right now, and especially in the summertime fights. You gotta be excited. Even from all types of all divisions. Everyone. There's so many versatility in fights and action. Now they even want to talk about an atomweight for a women's division. And they're trying to push that there. So all in all, the sport is growing, and it's growing rapidly, and it's really captivating fans because they keep putting up a good fight card. And if you're a fight fan, again, you really gotta enjoy it.
Absolutely. Speaking of enjoying, I enjoyed that main event. I enjoyed that main event, and like I said, I'm a new fan of Bellator, so some of these guys, like I'm being introduced to them, and oh man, it was that main event. It was just like I said. The reason why you gotta love the veterans, even before the fight, you don't. I didn't really have a favorite going into the fight. I tried to come in with an unbiased opinion, but then watching Gerard Mousasi's interview with some of the pundits, and when he did the podcast, And
Good
they asked him,
win.
you know, they asked him like, you know, 40 something fights in, why are you still fighting? And he kept it as honest as possible. Money. Like you love a guy who's honest like that, and you know he's just keeping it real. And he's like, yo, I expect this guy. He's going to take me down, but I'm going for the finish, if not the second or then the third round. And he came to fruition with his word, because John Salter, you know, I didn't see any of the previous fights any of his previous fights coming up to it. I've only seen a lot of the highlights that they showed, but it seemed like his plan A and plan B was just to wrestle. And you know, if it didn't work out wrestling one way, he was going to try and wrestle another way. And the greats, they have the ability that, you know, they take away, when they take away your plan A, they take away all of your plan A. They take away the fact that it makes you feel like, you know, if you feel like, you know, my plan A is to go striking, then they make you feel like, you know what, I can't strike with this guy. I have to muck this up. I have to go into clinching, and I have to go into wrestling, and I have to take it down, and from there I have to find my positions. You know, that's what he did with John Salter, because it seemed like he expected to take down. He fought it, but when it came, he didn't, you know, he kind of accepted it, but then started to fight his way out of it slowly. And it's like, I'm not gonna expand too much energy. I'm just gonna wait until a point where we both are really sweaty and you really can't hold on to me. And from there, I'm gonna start to strike. And it was just a masterpiece. What did you think of it?
Exactly the way you said it. I
Yeah,
mean,
we broke it down exactly. You said it, and I said that he ran out of gas. Salters, like you said, Plan A and Plan B didn't come to fruition, and he was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And this guy was calm and collective. He said, "All right, I'm gonna take your. It's like a game of poker. Okay, you raised me, I'm gonna raise you twice, double." And this guy, man, what execution the technician is in all aspects. And you gotta like that. That's the reason why the guy is holding that title belt, that middleweight belt. And I was telling Austin before, I don't see anyone right now in Bellator up and coming that could challenge him. I know the young man that was in the sling that that wants to challenge him. He's got. I think that fight don't come to fruition until maybe March at best, if he's in a sling in his elbow. You know, in March, February. And then how you know, with no fights in between, 100% are you, unless if you're playing possum with this veteran. And you're there in shock, but who knows with that?
I think it also depends on how much Gerard wants to fight. Like if he feels like, you know, he's healed up after a certain amount of time, and the guy coming up, you know, his arm doesn't heal, because I saw that when I noticed the sling on his arm, I was like, well, that's interesting, because MMA is a really fluid sport, and you don't really hold your contendership for that long unless you make a convincing and compelling case. So as much as I don't know, it depends on how much Gerard Musasi wants to fight. If he feels like he's healed up enough to go again this year, then who knows?
right, exactly. And all depends if Musasi wants to fight. But the thing is, you know, if he wants to fight someone else, I mean, I don't know who else besides Vanderfork can really, you know, someone challenging for that title. Well, maybe there's someone else I'm just ignoring, but yeah, it's a good point. I mean, if he wants to fight someone else, Vanderfork might, excuse me, have to like maybe wait longer, or maybe haven't taken their fights after Musasi, you know, defends his belt. Who knows? Go ahead.
No, what I wanted to say is that's why I said the MMA game is so fluid.
Mhm.
Is that maybe you don't know your contender right now, but in the next event you might find out. Like that's the exciting part about it, is you might have a guy, you know, we didn't know. Oh man, I don't. Oh man, we didn't know how exciting Corey Sandhagen was until he excited us, and now we have a guy who we want to see fight, you know, contend for the belt. We didn't know how dangerous Charles Oliveira was until he got his hands on Tony Ferguson, and then when he broke down Tony Ferguson, he let it be known that he was a contender, and then he did what he did to Michael Chandler. there was the expectation for him, yeah, but until he did what he did to Dan Hooker, no one really knew what Michael Chandler was going to do. And so, not to, shed light on the other promotion, but these guys, it's fluid. You don't know who your contender is until the next event.
Yep, that's a good point. Good point. We'll see who maybe is can challenge Masasi if Vanderford can't go for a lot long for like a long time. We'll see as this as the like I said, as the sport keeps on going because it's fluid. That's a good reference there, Dan. You pray for that one for reference. And yeah, speaking of, I mean, there's two big MMA events this coming weekend. There's another Bellator card, but also a UFC card with Kevin Gastelum and go ahead.
Let's go. Let's stay with Bellator, and we'll do the UFC to wrap up. In a second. Did it show the picture?
Yes, it did. It's the Czech Congo against Sergey Karatanov in a heavyweight fight. That's the main event, and both these guys are veterans. They're both like I want to say like early 40s, like late 30s, early 40s. Like Karatanov was fighting back in Pride back in the day in the mid 2000s. I know Czech Congo used to be a training partner of Rampage Jackson, and and he fought in UFC. And Czech Congo, the older he's gotten, he has gotten better. Said Karatan's always dangerous, especially if it gets like close, like I mean like distance wise. That's what I mean by close. So yeah, I mean this is a big fight in the heavyweight division, especially even though it might be a while before that title's defended because Ryan Bader is the heavyweight champion. He's in the light heavyweight tournament. He's fighting in October, and if he beats Corey, if he wins that fight, he's gonna be in the finals. How long? Who knows how long that title's gonna be defended? But yeah, it's definitely. I think this fight hopefully should deliver, and maybe we'll see. Interesting to see whoever wins. Maybe fights for the interim heavyweight title. I know that's help. I forget who holds that title, but that they can fight for that. And you also got Logan Story finding his hometown, well not hometown but home state, 11-1. Great collegiate amateur wrestler. He's trying to be a good MMA fighter. Trying to bounce back from his first loss. He lost to the 170 champion Amsarov. And what's crazy about Story? He's like Brock Lesnar in terms of this. They both went to the same high school, from the same town. Both went to the University of Minnesota. And I think they both won a national title at University of Minnesota. And now they're MMA. Now he's an MMA fighter. Yeah, exactly. The only thing he hasn't done is be a pro wrestler yet. But you never know. Maybe if he wants to. I doubt it, but you never know. Brock Lesnar. But yeah, those are like the two main fights to look out. Oh, to be fair, Story's fighting on Dante Shiro, who's 8-2, and those are the two big fights to look out for in this card. And there was supposed to be a third fight I was looking forward to. Adam Borish, who's like really great at 145, who possibly could be a dark horse in that division. With Pitbull and Adrian McKee, he was supposed to fight against JJ Wilson, but I think Wilson missed weight and they called off the fight, which is such a shame.
Man.
Yeah, exactly.
And Wilson was 8-0, and Adam Boric was 17-1. So you were getting some good fighters going into that card. Man, what a shame.
Yes, I know, it's such a shame. I mean, Boric probably could have been maybe convince himself if he would being JJ Wilson, probably could have got a title fight maybe against McKee if they want to go that route. But yeah, it's such a shame. But yeah, that's the Bellator cards upcoming weekends on tomorrow on Showtime. I think that starts at 9:00. I believe 9
o'clock and yes, 9 o'clock. Showtime app, Shop application. If you want to see the Bellator 265 prelim card, it's available on the YouTube channel, on Bellator YouTube channel, and it's totally free. You got a couple fights there. You got Taylor Johnson, Fabio Aguirre. You got Mike Hamel, Bruce Logan, Bailey Schofield versus Kevin Childs. You have Archie Colligan, Ben Simmons, not the NBA Ben Simmons, but another Ben Simmons. You got Dwayne Johnson, not Rock, not the Rock Johnson either. versus Devin Fisher, and Jeff Nielsen versus Corey Morgenberg. All that starts at 6 p.m. on the Bellator a YouTube channel, totally free. And we all know last weekend UFC was off. There was a dark night, a dark week for them. They gave the spotlight to Bellator, and they're coming up with Vegas card 34. Tell us a little bit about that, Austin.
Okay, yes. Yes, as I pull up my papers here, I know the main events. Jared Cannonier and Calvin Gastelum, and Lulu Stan.
Yeah, Dan had to step out for a second. But while Dan steps out for a second, before we start with the MMA, the UFC card, but I'm going to put it up on the board there. I just want to also reiterate that this weekend, let me go into this one. Dan comes back, we'll do the UFC, Austin. Let me break this down real quick. I know you like to do the UFC, and I like when you break it down. We're going to go with this Saturday night, Showtime Premier Boxing has the Pacquiao-Ugas fight. It's going to be really interesting. It's supposed to be Errol Spence, but Errol Spence suffered an injury to his eye, and he had a not withdraw from the fight. And we'll see. We'll see that he'll come. We'll break that down. Hold on, let me see if Dan's back in the building. And
yeah, I'm good.
And we see the Pacquiao-Ugas fight. All right, cool. I'm gonna do the boxing real quick, and then we'll go back to the UFC, so you guys can finish the UFC and wrap it up there with the boxing. And we're going with the Manny Pacquiao fight versus Ugas. It's gonna be a good fight for the Manny Pacquiao. You know, he's one of the most exciting fighters, even at his age, to be at a headline. It's gonna be a lot of eyeballs. Tune into the channel. We might do a watch along with Divine and myself, and I think one of our friends, Kangaroo Jack from Australia, said he wouldn't mind coming on, and we talked about it, but we thought it was Errol Spence, but Errol Spence suffered an injury. And on the bottom there, I'm going to start putting the card available so we can see the fight. And there's going to be some interesting fight. It's going to be on Showtime pay-per-view from Las Vegas, Nevada. You got the Senator Pacquiao. He battles the WBA welterweight champion Ugas. And what do you guys think? Do you think Pacquiao wins this fight, or do you think Ugas, the Cuban fighter, comes out of nowhere and inspire, last minute, have a Rocky Balboa type of inspiration and beats a Pacquiao? What do you guys think? I'll throw it around the horn.
I think it depends on what type of fighter Ugas is, and if Pacquiao's training camp for Errol Spence had any form of preparation for, for Ugas. Like if Ugas fights a similar style of fighting, similar to Errol Spence, or maybe they have certain tales or something similar, it may be of a benefit to Pacquiao. I feel this fight, generally going to Pacquiao's way, because you have a guy who was in training camp versus the opponent who, he's just stepping up. I don't know if he had as long as a training camp as Pacquiao is. Pacquiao's a maniacal preparer. So I'm not so sure.
Let me give you an insight, Dan. Excuse me to interrupt. Ugas was supposed to fight the co-main event, but since Spence dropped down, elevated him from the co-main event to the main event now. So he was in training camp. Ugas was in training camp preparing for fight. He was going to fight the co-main event. I think he was either going to fight Guerrero or Victor Ortiz. I don't know which one of the two. And they just said, you know what, you want to step up? And he said, of course, bed fight, more, prize fight. And he was in line for it if he would have won his co-main event. So just to let you know, he was preparing. So it's not like he's coming in to Pacquiao cold. Not enough time to prepare.
Okay, all right. So then both fighters are prepared, but yeah, I think it all depends on if Ugas is a harder hitter than Errol Spence, because Errol Spence is known to make people fold with that body shot. That man's dangerous. All fighters are dangerous with their hands, but Errol Spence, I've seen for a small guy, for a guy with his stature, he's been known to make a lot of people fold with that body shot. So, you know, if Ugas has something similar to that, that could put Pacquiao, you know, on, you know, at least in fear and make him at least, you know, try and fight a conservative fight, then I'd see that going, you know, Ugas's way. But Pacquiao is not known to be a conservative fighter. He's known to come in
No, no.
flurries and land and land and land and land large numbers. So you know, like I said, even, you know, even now with this knowledge, I still just see this go in Pacquiao's way.
So you like Pacquiao? Me too. What about you, Austin?
It's hard for me to say because I don't know much about Gas, and excuse me. And like I said, even though I'm not the biggest boxing guy in the world, however, maybe I don't know if like Ugas can maybe pull Andrew Ruiz. If you remember, he beat Joshua like 2 years ago. Well, Ruiz had
Right.
like what, a month? No, like less than a month to prepare for Joshua because Joshua's original point got busted for PEDs or something. Am I wrong about that?
Right.
I believe so, yeah.
Right. I forgot the fighter's name. I had him in the tip of my tongue. Yes, yes. He stepped in as a fill-in. Yes.
Right, and maybe this could be a moment for Ugas. He beats, Pacquiao and like really like becomes, this 2021 Andy Ruiz. Although Ruiz was supposedly a good boxer prior to the whole Joshua victory, but who knows? I mean they've both been training around the same time, so and I don't know, I don't know, maybe Ugas is a good style matchup for Pacquiao or vice versa. Plus, Pacquiao hasn't fought what 2 years.
So, yeah, close around there. Yeah, something
Close
around
to.
18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Who knows? Now, granted, maybe who knows? Maybe age, or maybe it might be a good thing not refining as much, so he is older. But he's become like an ageless wonder, where no matter how old he is, he's still competing with these young guys, still doing his thing. And it's Manny Pacquiao is probably one of the more incredible stories in all of boxing when you think about it. I mean, guy was broke as you can be from the Philippines and became champion in all these weight classes and became a multi-millionaire, a great legendary boxer, and he's a senator too for the Philippines. Let's not forget that also. Which I'm guessing right now I think they're in like session or like they're not. I know there's a point in the Philippines where they don't put in session and not at the Senate at the moment. So I guess that's what's happening. That's why I believe he tends to fight in the summer. Pacquiao recently because of that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting to see. Manny Pacquiao fights always exciting. It's always like an excitement level, like a different energy vibe to them than most boxing fights. I mean, that's something that we can all agree with, right?
Exactly. Like
I agree.
that's the interesting part is you have a defending champion currently a senator in seat. Like I mean, what is he, a senator or a governor?
Senator.
Senator.
No, Senator. You
He's
said
a
it correctly.
senator in seat. Like that's crazy. Every time Manny Pacquiao steps into that ring, it's a different weight. It's a different matchup, both for him and the fighter he's facing, because it's history being made every time he steps in that ring currently. So it's amazing.
Salute to Robert Parr, man. I appreciate you here
Salute
always,
Robert
man.
Parr.
Salute for the love and always supporting. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, man. We're doing a little MMA boxing and we're chopping it up this Thursday evening. So Austin, you taking Manny Pacquiao to win. Dan, you're taking
Uh,
Manny Pacquiao to win. Yes or no?
Yes.
yes. Oh, yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Here's my analogy. I think Manny Pacquiao is going to win this fight, but Ugas wouldn't surprise me if Ugas wins this fight. The ring rust of Manny Pacquiao at his age, for being inactive for almost 2 years, 8+ months, plus he's also delegating to Senate and running law and doing whatever his duties, responsibility in the Philippines. How much time of training is there for him to do? I mean, he looks like he's in great shape. He has a great corner in Freddie Roach. He's a veteran who's smart. Pacquiao's fighting Ugas. Ugas. It was supposed to be Errol Spence, Robert Parr, but Errol Spence suffered an eye injury and had a withdrawal about 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So the guy Ugas that's going to fight Manny Pacquiao was on the co-main event, so they just bumped him up to the main event fight. So he's ready as well. They're not bringing in a guy off the street who's cold, who didn't have enough right time, or just come in there like a sacrificial lamb. This young man, he could be a problem for Pacquiao. So I still think Manny Pacquiao wins on a decision. I don't see a knockout, or we love to see a Manny Pacquiao knockout. Who wouldn't? I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think Pacquiao wins, but Ugas is going to put his name on the map with this fight. He's going to take an opportunity, and it's going to be an eye-opening event with this kid, and I think he's going to make a name for himself. He's going to do well, but I think that's how that fight goes with that. Before we go on the UFC, and so we can wrap up the program, I just wanted to put a note on boxing. As an older person on the program, I'm a boxing person, boxing lover. I noticed last weekend, it's just my take, boxing had fights cards, and my point is, why does boxing compete against each other with on the same night, putting in 3 different locations and 3 different streaming platforms good fights? As a boxing fan, why are you making me, oh man, I want to choose which one I want? There's plenty of weekends. There's 52 weeks in a year that you could schedule and have fights every weekend in different platforms over and over, and have everybody eat. And especially when you want to charge for the zone and so much money, ESPN plus the Showtime. And plus then you charge the pay-per-view. That's why boxing is, my opinion, going in a back burner, falling down charts with MMA. You see MMA gets it. You see Bellator fights on Friday nights. And UFC Saturday nights. Or when Bellator needs to fight on a Saturday night, UFC starts their card a little earlier. Either they go to Abu Dhabi, they start in it, or they go to Australia, or vice versa. They don't compete. As a consumer, we get to have our cake and eat it too, because we get to watch those platforms and really be engaged and watching all of it. And that's how you get eyeballs and you get sponsorship. Boxing is too busy fighting and trying to knock each other out. With literally with WBC, everyone wants to be a promoter and want to put their program all at the same time and make you pick this one. No, you can't, or this one. Where there's plenty of content, there's plenty of days of the week, nights or weekends that you could give us these fights so we could enjoy it, and probably your sport gets more popular. That's just my discharge as a boxing fan over the years. Why do you fight with that? Especially when we're paying so much for prescription, and that's why I think UFC gets it. I keep saying over and over, the UFC gets it, and they get what we want. And like you said, tournament style and pre-fights. Bellator, kudos to them. They got that battle. They want to do a Grand Prix. UFC, there's like eliminate. It's like if you really look at it, they kind of taking like a Mortal Kombat type of tournament style. You win, you move up the next one, and next so forth, and then you fight, and you're always gonna have the best of the best fighting. So, as a boxing fan, a purist that grew up watching the sport, I wish they will get with the times and spread enough. There's plenty of food to eat, for we could dip from, and not collide and make us choose. I understand that's how it was in the old days when you only had, ABC Wild World of Sports, but everything was on ABC Wild World of Sports. And I'm going back, maybe it's late 70s, early 80s before we had all these cable networks. But I wish they would spread the wealth, and there's many a weekend so we could enjoy. We want to watch boxing. We want to watch your product, and we don't only want to. You don't make us pick and choose. And that's my rant, guys. I appreciate it. So we'll go into the UFC. Vegas 34. Austin, take it away, my man.
Right. Same main event. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm pretty sure you are too, Dan. Right? Jared Cannonier and Calvin Gastelum.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. Those are two guys that's just gonna swing at each other.
Yes, you are correct on that. And I was thinking about that. They both got heavy hands, both Calvin and Jared Cannonier. And that's why, it's like they both got power. Now Calvin's never been knocked out. So, he's Mexican. He has that chin. So, not to sound stereotypical, but it's a fact. Let's just be real. But then, Cannonier is prove his toughness against Robert Whitaker. Whitaker put a beating on him, but he survived that beating. He got a broken arm, but still. still, I mean, these are two guys who are, coming, yeah, both coming off losses to Robert Whitaker, ironically enough, and one, like Cannonier he's a little bit older. He's what I think 36. Yeah, 36, and I know what Calvin's still, and he just turned 30 or 31, somewhere around that age range. I'm not sure, but yeah, both guys looking to bounce back and show that they're still, like, in that title picture basically. And it'd be interesting to see how Cannonier looks after the arm surgery. If he's still the Cannonier that was on a roll before the Whitaker fight, and see if Calvin Gastelum has bounced, finally turned the corner. Because if you remember going to the Israel Adesanya fight back in 2019, he was on fire, and that was an epic fight. I mean, probably one of the best fights in UFC history and MMA history. Israel and Gastelum, but then lost that split. Yep, I agree. Yeah, Dan, you definitely agree, and Dad, you too as well. But yeah, then
Oh
there was
yeah.
the
Oh, that was a great.
That
yeah.
was that was an absolutely great fight. And coming into this fight with both of these athletes coming off of a loss to Robert Whitaker, I'm more so wary about Jared Cannonier than I am about Kelvin Gastelum, because I've seen guys like oh man, I don't want to Thiago Santos. That's the name that
Uh,
comes to my mind. Is a guy who got injured and came back. I don't know if he came back too soon. I don't know if rehab went wrong. I don't know what happened. But ever since Thiago Santos has come back to the UFC, he has not looked right. He used to be much more of a fluid fighter, and right now he looks stiff. And so my concern with Gastelum is like, did it heal right? Did you give it enough time? And are you going to look at a semblance of yourself? You're never the same after you go under the knife, but are you going to be, extremely comfortable with that arm? That's the biggest question mark.
you're right, especially I think you make Cannonier, you said Gastelum, but you are correct. I mean, plus he's older too, so maybe that plays a factor as well. Something you gotta worry about as well. Where so I agree with you. I think Cannonier is the one we have more questions, more concern about than even Gastelum. Which probably I think Gastelum might be the favorite because of that. I could be wrong. I haven't checked the odds, but yeah, that's a good point by you, Dan. About about that's a good. Thiago Santos was probably the best example you can about guy coming off an injury and then he comes back and he's just not the same guy. That's why you gotta give someone like Dominic Cruz credit, considering he got surgery and he was still able to win the title and win fights. I mean, it's hard. MMA is already a hard sport. Then you got injury. On top of that, if it doesn't heal right, or maybe you're get injured at the wrong time, it can destroy your momentum. And we'll see if Cannonier is the victim of that, or if Cannonier is able to bounce back and still establish himself in that title picture. And one thing I do think would be interesting, maybe, is I know Calvin may be using wrestling. I mean, I know Calvin is not a wrestler, but sometimes he has used in the past in some of his fights. Maybe he might try to use it against Cannonier. Now, will it work? Maybe, who knows? But something throw out there, something maybe possibility. Because they both got heavy handed, and I know Calvin's got iron chin. Like I said, he still don't want to get too many hit with too many punches. Obviously, I mean, he got hit a lot of shots in Israel Adesanya fights, but and plus he fought like 3 months ago. I think 3 months ago, no, 4 months ago against Robert Whitaker, so it was recent. So we don't want to get too many you don't want to get too many hit too many times for obvious reasons. So yeah, it's a lot of intrigue in this main event.
I absolutely agree with
Yeah,
you.
salute to.
Go
I
ahead.
want to
Go ahead.
shout out, salute to Nathan. Salute Nathan in the chat. I appreciate to see you, man. Cuz I'm glad you're here, chopping it here with Austin and Chef Dan, MMA Talk. I appreciate you stopping by and showing the love.
Uh, to your point about wrestling, and to your point about to in addition with your point about Kevin Gastelum having a tough chin, I think the smart thing for him would be, like, seeing as how this is a five round matchup. You go in the later rounds, in that deep water. That's when you take it to wrestling. I'm okay with him going for a shoot, even if they're sweatier because he's a guy who has better wrestling. I think at that point, what you really want to do is like you want to take care of positioning. And later on in the rounds, if you have positioning, then I think you can win it out. And from there, you go for wrestling, but not to not to finish it out in submission, but just get a better angle and go for ground and pound. That's what I think he should go for.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's smart on your part. And yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, nothing else to add there. But yeah, I mean, it's an exciting main event. I mean, it's good. It's
No,
the
that's a good strategy on your that you mentioned with that work the compound and have the mounting position and just from up top just probing him and try to get a TKO stoppage that way. I think that will go for Kelvin if he wins that and if he attacks that route. Takedowns is going to be important too if he's able to get the takedowns, especially the way the judging system, they like when you take down your opponents. I think they favor they on the scoring card and that's a big plus. And he uses his big frame to be on top in the ground and pound. I can see a key to the victory. I agree with you.
In addition to that, also, like what I just realized is, wouldn't Cannonier be the taller opponent?
Yeah, he would because Calvin's like short for middleweights, and Candy used to fight at light heavyweight too, and like, heavyweight at one point. But he
So
was
I
small
feel,
heavyweight, yeah.
a smaller guy, he's gonna have the lower center of gravity. I just
Right.
if he is going for wrestling and it's going in the later rounds, you want to press him up against the cage, and what you want is, I feel like he has to work on his trips. It has to be the tripping because these guys are so creative with how they trip people and get them on the ground from the cage, like pressed up against the cage. It's a great way, just learn how to trip and shift the learn the different trips, especially a guy like I take notes from Islam Makhachev.
Yeah,
He is especially, crafty with his tripping. Him, who else?
Habib.
Habib is oh my gosh, really crafty with his tripping. Daniel Cormier was really crafty with his tripping. A whole lot of these guys who, they're wrestling, but also the sambo artists. I feel like the sambo artists are really great at tripping. So
Good point.
if I'm Kelvin, I'm taking tips from from sambo artists as far as tripping goes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Maybe Candy could do it because maybe he might be bigger. Maybe I don't know because he is, he's a fight at 205, and Calvin is kind of like at one point was a 170 guy, and that's in the past talk about going back. I don't, he never made weight. Well, I should say never made weight. He had a hard time making weights. So maybe Candy could use that technique. Maybe the stripping, leg strips, and stuff like that. Because he might be bigger. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities in this fight, and when you have a lot of possibilities, it makes the fight exciting. It makes us look forward to Saturday nights to see.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and in the co-main event, we have Clay Guida going against Mark Madsen. Clay Guida is a veteran of the sport. Has been around the UFC since '07 or '06. No, like when they brought, I forget, '07, '08, like around that time period. Been around for a while, basically. And I'm not too familiar with Mark Madsen. I mean, are you aware of him, Dan? Or
I feel like he maybe fought last year, and I maybe saw a fight of his, but the name doesn't ring a bell to me. The only names that rung bells to me were Clay Guida, and other than the main event, I see Brandon Royval on the card, so I'm interested in his matchup as well.
me too? Yeah, in the flyweight division, Brandon Royval, who I believe is a state kickboxing, member, teammate of Israel Sanya and Alexander Volkanovski. Could be, yeah. I think looks like I'm correct, right?
I believe so. Yes,
Yeah, he's
I
been
know I know he's in. I believe he's in camp with Volkanovski. Yes.
right, and I know, right. He's going against Alexander Pantoja. Pantoja, I think that's how you say his name. I could be wrong.
Pantoja.
Apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. You got it. No, you
I
got it right.
apologize. Yeah, I apologize if I butcher his name. Yeah, I mean, I think they're both ranked in the top 10 in the flyweight division. So let's see if when that fight could bring them closer to the title fights. Obviously, in this division against Brand Moreno, and that's exciting. Flyweight is weird. Flyweight can be weird at times to me. Tell me if I'm wrong about this. Like it could be like exciting because the speed and also it's somewhat competitive, but at the same time it can also be I know I don't want to say boring, but it's almost like so much happens you can't like it can sometimes lose your attention. Am I wrong in that, or is it just me?
No, I think it's the difference between the like the how do I say this? When you notice welterweight fighters and the light heavyweight fighters, things of that nature, the difference between the 3 rounders and the 5 rounders is that the difference between them is really not as much. I think with the heavier weights, with the heavier weight classes, they just have to gain more, do more cardio, gain more stamina, and then try and find a way, like what their winning recipe is. They just have to find a way to stretch that out for 5 rounds. Versus the flyweights, because there's so much speed. The difference between the 3 rounder and the 5 rounder is, I think the 5 rounder, the person who's more championship made pedigree, they're either they're either trying to end it in 3 rounds or they know it's a 5 round fight, so they're gonna save it. Those are the guys, that they make their choices smartly based on who the fighter is. And so the gap between those guys is so large because once a 3 rounder in the flyweight goes into a 5 round fight, you instantly see it like, oh God, he has no cardio at all. And this guy, he has the one up on him the entire time. So it makes for a kind of an uncompetitive matchup.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And
I don't
yeah.
want to. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it.
Oh,
I don't
that
want to jinx it.
oh the Yankees win 6-1.
No, 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 no. I don't want to jinx it. I was gonna say something, but I'm not gonna jinx it because it's still the top. Never mind.
Runners
I'm not
on
gonna jinx it.
runners right. Top of the 6, one out, runner on second and third. Tyone is on the mound. Just wanted to bring in updates those that are listening on the program, and the Yankees are playing currently right now. Just wanted to run that by real quick. I know what you mean, not to jinx it.
I'm not gonna jinx it.
It's not like a no hitter. It's not a no hitter, but all right.
Hey,
let me
I'm
let me
just saying,
let
no,
me
it's
ask.
not a
Let
no
me.
hitter, but based on the Yankees' luck this year, it could be jinxed.
Okay.
Speaking of Jakes, a little bit off topic. Carl Lawson, the defensive end that the New York Jets signed as a free agent, out for the season with a Achilles heel. They had a joint practice with the Green Bay Packers, and he got injured, man. And man, my Jets are cursed, dude. And that's why today I got my Jets Cup up because man, they're cursed. On a different note, stick with. Oh wait, still with you, fellas. Robert Parr, absolutely. Thank you for the support always, man. Thank you for the support and the love always. The guys here through a 6-3 Minnesota Yankees. They scored on an RBI single. 2 runs came in on a
I
double.
didn't want to jinx it. I didn't want to jinx it. I'm gonna say nothing. Let's continue to talk. All I want to say in regards to the Jets, moving on from that other sport. I'm a Giants fan, but I don't have any hatred towards Jets at all. Like if anything, it'd be really interesting to me to see a Giants Jets Super Bowl. It really, really be interesting. But yeah, that's just bad luck. But what I can say is
That's
that it is
bad
really
luck.
bad luck. No, especially because defensive end is a really crucial. It's really like if you're gonna get a good quarterback, you're also gonna get a good pass rusher. One and the same. And so defensive end guys that are on the line of scrimmage, they're really important. But you guys have Robert Saleh, and if he is who people claim him to be, then hopefully, he can, you know, because you guys, he didn't start the season, so you guys don't know what type of impact he could possibly have. So next year, hopefully, it'll just,
Right.
hopefully next year it'll just be like your defense goes from average to just better because he's coming back.
And just to be transparent, I am a Jet fan, but I root extremely hard for the Giants. I consider myself one of those rare breeds that love both teams. My son is there as a testament. And I watch them and I root for them hard. Both of them, down the middle. I know it's rare. I know people say you can't, but I'm like one of the rare breeds that I really love both teams to a point, that I'm crazy for both of them. But when it comes and then when they play each other head to head, it all depends who it benefits at that season. That year when the Giants went on that Super Bowl run and the Jets had Rex Ryan and all, man, I actually was rooting for the Giants because Cruz was on the team, and that's our last name, by the way, so that's why I call him Cousin Cruz. And we were and just for that, I rooted for the Giants. So I like both teams, but man, I definitely want to see my freaking Jets win a freaking Super Bowl, at least play in a Super Bowl, man, and but I'm going to be doing a football watch. I know Divine is going to do a Giants as well, but I'm going to do also another one because I promised a good friend of mine. Shout out to Zach, who's going through a transition with his program, his channel. We're going to do some football talk and all around, not just New York centric. We want to talk about Dallas and other teams. I know the Dallas and the Pats and all that, but we're going to talk a little bit about all that, and we'll see on that. Robert Parr says, "Are you rooting for the Giants because you hate the Patriots that bad?" No. Because I bleed New York. Anything that has the NY, anything that has the NY on there, I bleed hard for it. Except for the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, because they're New Jersey. Yeah, but no, it's very
well. Technically, they're Long Island. As far as my recollection of memory, they were so.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. In my memory, guys, in your guys' generation is New Jersey. Yeah, I know what you mean on that. So let me ask a question but let's get back to the MMA so we can wrap it up and Austin has a few things he has to do a little in a few minutes. Let me ask you this: is it interesting no female fights? This even in the prelims, unless if it's on the early prelims.
I see what's her name? Oh man, I see Amanda Nunes' wife on the card. Is she not?
Is she Nina Nunes? Hang on.
Oh, not Nina Nunes. Oh wow, I got the wrong name. I saw Nunes.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. The Nunes. It's not. Yeah, you say Nunes, think of Amanda or Nina. You don't think of anyone else. But yeah, there's a female fight in this card. It's an undercard.
Okay. Oh yeah. Versus Jacine Nunes. You're right. My apologies. I just was looking out for the female fights. It's interesting to with the fights. I was mentioning to Austin that they want to make an Atom division, 105-pound division. They want to add that. They're trying to bring that, and I asked a few people out there and feelers. Is there enough sustainable fights for more women at that weight? They're gonna have to be some real short ladies, in my opinion, to be in that weight, because you can't have a real 5'8", 5'9", 105-pound lady. That's gonna look weird. It's gonna look awkward just by the height and all that.
It is gonna look weird, but what I can say is, I'm not gonna lie, find a way to get the ladies more fights, because in the UFC especially, they have been putting on more of a show than the fellas have for about a year and a half now. Oh my gosh, I've seen like Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo. That was a competition for fight of the year. Cool, right? Yeah. Zhang Wei Li versus Joanna Jacek. Oh my God. They were throwing bombs. There was no wrestling involved. It was you stand in the pocket, I stand in the pocket, and we just both going to hit each other's faces. And whoever is left standing, that's it. That was a beautiful fight. The ladies have been putting on fights. They have to find a way to let the women main event more fights. They have to find a way to promote women in more fights. And the UFC has creative ways to promote their fighters. Because in you know, to note what you were saying earlier, BX, about boxing and how they have competition within each other. They also compete against themselves because they don't promote their fighters in a you know, in a very promising way. You don't get to know the new fighter in a very in a promising way, in a way that the UFC does with, you know, Dana White's Contender Series and Chael Sonnen's Submission Underground, or you have the Ultimate Fighter. You have just these different ways and these different platforms to get you know, to get used to a new fighter. So there, you know, there's just these different ways to introduce them, and I just feel like the UFC could do a way better job of promoting the women fighters, because they're going to put on the show themselves. You just have to find a way to put it in front of the masses. Like, here, watch this for a while. Watch it. It's in your face. Here, enjoy it. But they're going to put on a show.
Right. And just to find out, to let you know, I found out about a couple days after the fight, Terisha Torres, a tiny tornado, has to go to hand surgery. She torn a ligament in her thumb, and that's why I'm fighting Angela Hill, and that's why there wasn't so much fighting in there. Hey, salute to my main man, my cousin Martin Sanchez. Good vibes. Many blessings to New York in the house. We love Bronx Jedi. We love you too, Martin. Hopefully we'll see you next month. Personally, and I appreciate you giving me that like and a subscribe on the channel. I appreciate you so much on there, and thank you so much. Yeah, so we find out Terisha Torres tore her ligament in her thumb. Now it's going to surgery. She wants to get back. That's why striking was noticeably down, and she was hitting Angela Hill in the face. And you're like, man, where's the powers? Because her right hand had a ligament damage. Ladies, go 100 miles an hour. I really like to see. I do want to see more of the fights, because they really get it. They get it going. They get it going. You know, and also with the emergence of PFL. Am I correct? Am I saying it correctly? PFL. I know I said FPL before, but PFL. I seen and guys, I haven't watched a full show yet. I haven't sat down and watched it live. I always try to catch the highlights because there's so much content to try to watch between basketball, you know, the whole ball of wax. But I try to watch highlights of it, and there's a lot of hands throwing, a lot of action, guys, and there's a lot of women action too. And there's this young lady. I'm gonna get her. I gotta follow her. That's a threat for the Lioness. Be careful. There's some young up and coming ladies that have some power. Just be careful. You know, she's right now, as a lady fighter, favorites is Amanda Nunes. I think she's one of my favorite fighters out there. There's a couple other ladies that I like as well, but and she's the best of the best. She took on Cyborg, destroyed her. She took on, you know, all the comers, and the way she does it, I mean, it's like, who the heck is gonna beat this young lady? I mean, there's some. So I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of her. Shout out to Amanda Nunes. Shout out to her for being the great of the sport right now, the Lioness, and one of my favorite must-see TV. She fights. I can't wait for her to get back in the ring again. But what I said is, there's a lot of lady fights, a lot of young ladies up and coming with power in her weight class. She's got to be careful. But I think she's up for it. But MMA, you never know. When someone comes in there, a good punch in the, you know, like Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a good plan until you get punched in the face. So that's just saying.
Wait, you talking about Kayla Harrison in PFL?
He's probably talking about Kayla Harrison because she's all the buzz.
Yeah, she is. But yeah. I mean, but my thing is this: she's a big girl, like 145 girl. UFC's talking about getting rid of 145. That's the thing. Like, would that happen? Does she maybe go Bellator and go Cyborg? Because that's a fight people talked about too.
I mean, but I think the division. It all depends, right? Like a division, everyone could say a division is dying until a certain fighter does something in that division, and then it makes people, you know, either want to cross over into that division, or it could just be like, I don't know how, like, there could be a slew of fighters that's in that division that the UFC just isn't paying attention to, or they feel isn't ready, but if they stepped into the ring, they would light it up. Like I don't know. A division could be dying one moment, and then the next moment you're like, oh wow, this division is, you know, there's a whole bunch of contenders. It's a mess. So that's why I feel like it's fluid. Like I said, the game is fluid. You have just so many different fighters, and not even just to stay in Amanda Nunes' division, but like I said, there's a whole list of fighters. Valentina Shevchenko is a dominant.
I was gonna go to that.
Valentina Shevchenko is a dominant champion, and her run with the belt does not get talked about enough.
No, it doesn't.
And I don't know why, but she is dominant, and whoever she faces, it doesn't matter. She finds a game plan. She has enough striking in the wheelhouse. She has enough wrestling in the wheelhouse. She has she has it all. She has it all. And when it comes with the power, with the wingspan, you know, the lengthening, the ability to control spacing, like it's a creative striker. It's just she has it all, and she's a very dominant fighter. And her little sister, you know, is not too far behind from her, because her little sister is a great grappler. Granted, I believe she lost her last fight being out grappled by someone, and you're never the best of the best, and until you've never fought anyone until you lost to someone, as someone once said, a great fighter once said. But there are great fighters out there. There are great women fighters out there, and they just have to be promoted. They're great.
Right.
Yeah, and it's exciting. Go ahead, Dawson. Go ahead.
No, but yeah, it's true. But also, the women got the forces and promote themselves. Also, it's a combination of both. UFC has to do their part, but also the female fighters got to do their part. Like, I have to care about you. You got to make me care about you. You got to put on good performances. Like Valentina's performances are very dominant, and that's one reason why we care, because she does exciting things. She head kicks girls. She elbows them to death. I mean, she even submit girl. I mean, and she got a cool personality with the guns and stuff. Like, she looks like a Russian assassin, which in picture, just your Instagram picture, looks like a secret girl that sent to kill someone, literally, and things like that. And I personally thought she beat Amanda Nunes the second fight. I think a lot of people, me personally, Valentina, but that's another story for another day. And yeah, and like, but yeah, I agree. I think it's a mixture of both. Like, girl, the UFC should do more, promote these women, but also these women should also promote themselves, show their personality, make us care about them. About the featherweight, though, I haven't seen anyone in women's featherweight in the UFC. Anyone really stand out? Like, truly, like, to me, like, Manu's the champion. Okay, yes, Cyborg was Cyborg. But everyone else is like, I mean, Megan Anderson. I mean, nah, get out of here. No, which is Spencer, tough, but skill wise, nah. Anyone else is like, not there at all. To me, personally,
what about?
Can we put up the division and see some of the names? Because I think there's
problem.
Yeah,
no,
let me find it.
They don't have it. You're not gonna find a women's featherweight like at all in UFC. You won't find it.
Hold on.
Bellator,
I'll take your word for it, but I thought I had. I'll take your word. Let me see if I find it, guys. Give me a second. There's always search. I believe you, Austin, but I thought I had it. I thought I had it on a previous program. I have no. You're right. I got this one here. Let me see if it shows. Some of it is showing because I'm on a delay here. You got the flyweight.
Caitlin Chukagian, who just came off a victory, is very interesting.
That's flyweight. I'm talking about women's.
No. I was talking about as far as like very interesting fighters. Okay. Jessica I is very interesting.
The most I can get, guys, is telling me from you. From UFC, it's telling me it's pound for pound. So they don't women fighters 5 for pound women fighters on the top 13, and the pound for pound of Rose. I haven't seen Rose fight since she won the title a while back. She's been inactive.
Well, that was in April. I mean, hopefully, I don't know. The UFC wants to do her and Willie Zhang rematch, which I don't agree with at all. No,
Um,
Rosa deserves to
Yeah,
fight.
actually, I've been keeping up with Rose, and she's in training camp right now.
Really?
So it sounds like something
very
is coming up for her. I saw her
good, good.
throwing the hands with someone, and it's reported that she's back in training camp. So that lets me know that some paperwork possibly, came her way that she agreed to. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for breaking the news, Dan. I had no idea. Hopefully, yeah, 'cause I like Russ. I like watching Rose. I think it should be her and Sparza that rematch, not the Whaley Zhang rematch. That Whaley doesn't deserve a rematch. Can't defend the belt once and lose and knock down in less than 2 minutes and get a rematch for a title. I mean,
I
talk
mean, but
about
it's the champion's clause. Like that's
that doesn't exist in the UFC. Then why didn't Aldo get a rematch with McGregor after he got knocked out? After he was undefeated, the WEC and UFC featherweight champion.
I,
Stipe,
Stipe, no, for some look, I know you said it doesn't exist, but as far as Stipe is concerned, he feels like he deserves a rematch. Like there's a champion's clause. I don't. Who else?
that was I think
No, there was someone else who
Figueiredo.
Figueredo. He also mentioned that a champion's clause and why he feels like there should be a trilogy fight. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Figueredo defended the championship twice. And
Right.
granted, he does miss weight a lot, but I feel like with the first fight being as close as it was, granted the second fight was not as close. I don't know. I think he earned that right. I think all champions, regardless of whether you defended it once or twice, I think once you've gotten to that mountaintop, I think you've earned that right to at least say like because at least vie for the rematch because it keeps the I think it keeps the division interesting as well. Like as even if the champion doesn't immediately get the rematch, you at least have a guy who if the previous champion doesn't get at least get the immediate rematch, you have a guy who's within the division who at least has the makings of a number one contender. And so if he fights a guy who isn't necessarily ranked and that guy shows up, then you have a guy who makes it interesting. It keeps the division interesting as far as like you have guys with what's the term I'm looking for? You have guys that can pull rank, and if you beat a guy that can pull rank, then it makes your name much more better. That's what I
Right.
feel.
Right. Yeah. I mean, some guys maybe if they champion and lose, they should just win one more fight and then get a rematch. Like that's why I think Whaley Zhang. I think all she needs to do is win their fight. You look good, and you fight Rose again, or the winner of Rose and Carl Sparza. Hopefully, that's my I think that I agree with. I just don't think she's worthy of a rematch. Just nah.
So then let me ask you, what do you think her next fight is?
Um,
Because if she's not like this is my question, right? Like when you say she's not deserving of the rematch, right?
right,
Granted, she got knocked out within the first 2 seconds. It can
two
happen
minutes.
in the first 2 minutes. A punch changes everything. Like you said, BX. Mike Tyson said it. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But who do you feel is more deserving? Do we have her fight Joanna again?
Possibly, yeah. Or she can fight Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern's on a roll. She's number four. Number four. Yeah, number four.
Hey, but she's number 4. And
Well,
Zhang Wei Li is coming off of a loss against the champion.
yes, but she's a top five girl, and she wants to keep her rank. If you beat Mackenzie Dern, there's no disputing you getting the next title fight. There's really no disputing after that. Considering Mackenzie has won I think 5 or 6 in a row, still a top five girl. It's a tough fight. It's a fight that everyone can go, okay, yeah, you're good. You are that good. If you deserve the rematch. It's kind of like back in the day. You remember Henan Barrow when he was champion when he lost to T.J. Dillashaw. And granted, he was supposed to rematch Dillashaw, but then he got missed weights and He got a fight which he won, which got him the rematch with Dillashaw for the title. And even though it didn't go his way, at least they didn't do that. Even though it was somewhat different from Wei Zhang, but still, you get my point, right?
I understand your point, but to that effect, I'd say like, because I'm coming from the perspective of Zhang Weili. Like, I'm coming from her perspective of if she was to argue that, what she could argue would be like, all right, that person missed weight, I don't.
That's true. But her perspective, yeah, it makes sense. Of course, she's gonna want a rematch with the title. I'm just saying what makes sense overall outside her perspective. Just generally, it doesn't make sense for her to get a rematch. Just in my opinion.
I understand. It's understandable, but like I said, Rose is in camp, meaning some paperwork got signed. Thug Rose is on the return. Thug Rose is on the return, meaning
Yeah, I remember
someone signed some paperwork. I don't know if it was Zhang Wei Li. I don't know if it was Joanna. I don't know if it was Mackenzie Dern, possibly. Possibly. A slew of names.
And plus, if you're Rose, you want Carla, considering Carla beat you when they fought, and it was for the strawweight title, the first ever strawweight champion, which Carla was. It'd be great, get that bench back.
You could get that back, and then, hey, all I'm saying is she's in training camp. It's interesting.
That's gonna be exciting. That's gonna be exciting. I remember when we were doing, it was a Saturday night Nick's Real Talk review, and when Rose won the title, we were live on the stream when she won it, and how we rejoiced when Rose won that belt. Man, that was phenomenal. The way she did it too, resilience.
The way
resilience. I can't wait to her to get back in the ring.
The way the match started off with, in the middle of Bruce Buffer doing his announcement, she's just telling herself, "I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best." And then she went out and proved it. It's stories like those and moments like those, you can't make it up, and that's the greatest.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what we like about that, the women division, and give them the opportunity, and hopefully, they're receiving similar pay to the male fighters.
They do.
It don't matter, male, female, a fighter is a fighter. And then you say they do good. I hope they get the bonuses, and consider when they fight of the night bonuses as well, because these ladies, they go out there, man. I'm like, wow, they fight, they grab, they get in that, they scrap, they go in there and they give it all. And man, some of these ladies, they come out with some of these bloody fights that I've seen in the past few weeks. It's like, so women's division, women MMA in general is, I think, 3 times leap ahead of the women's boxing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is why Clarissa Shields has to transition over to MMA. I feel like that's her best move. A lot of people online have recently been saying that, oh, she's ducking competition, and she's ducking competition. I saw your face, Austin, because to my knowledge, I was like, the last known fight that they were trying to set up for her during the pandemic was Layla Ali. So,
come on.
like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're bringing back a retired fighter for her, it doesn't sound like she's ducking competition. It sounds like she's swept all the competition, and now, they coming back trying to, make a case for themselves. Nah. If she's not interested and she wants to move on and try and dominate another sport, she has more than the credentials and the the ability and the just all of it to do so.
Right.
So,
go ahead.
No, it's just gonna be very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Right, and she gets the opportunity to make possibly more money in MMA, get her name out there, bigger fights, and Holly Holm, who she trains with now, went with a boxing legend, transitioned to MMA, won the bantamweight, UFC bantamweight title from Ronda Rousey, and since then, had a solid career for the most part. Now she's won her last couple of fights and maybe put herself back in the title picture potentially. We'll see. And if she sees that, she might go, "Hey, I could do that too." I mean, Krista, she got the credentials, Olympic gold medalist in the in boxing, and she's a I'm I wouldn't be surprised she's the undisputed champion. in her weight class. Was probably, I mean, wouldn't be surprised, and we'll see. We'll see. And for some reason, I thought people were saying that about her MMA career stupidly. But yeah, boxing. They're saying she's ducking competition.
No,
Kind of
I
ridiculous,
no, I believe she's an undisputed champion in two weight classes in boxing.
right? Right.
Yeah,
So there,
there's not too much. There's not too many competition when it comes to women boxers. There is some women boxers out there, yes, but I don't know. Boxing also is doing doesn't do well. They're having a hard time promoting their big fighters, their big name fighters, and
Yeah,
how do you
proper.
expect them to really promote the ladies? It's hard. It's and there are some good women boxers there, but I think MMA beats them. I think the MMA is both Bellator and UFC, and now with the mergers with the other federations, I think they're so much platform and the more opportunities. I think the ladies are going to go more towards the MMA fighting than the boxing because it's just more of a payday, more activity to receive a better payday.
you know, it's bad when boxing is getting beat out by bare knuckle boxing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
that's a good
just
point.
started up.
Great point. Yes, I didn't even think about that.
And that's
Yeah.
pretty good too. We'll talk. We also gonna when an event comes in bare knuckle fighting, I'll be watching it and I'll be breaking down and speaking about that as well because I do. I have watched a few of them, a couple of them. The Paul Malignaggi fight. I saw when he fought. I forget the champion's name. The
You mean for
who,
Arm
who was
Loba?
what's the
Artem Lobov,
he,
I believe that was it. Yeah,
Adam Orlov. Adam Orlov, yes, and Orlov won. He beat Paul Malignaggi. I thought the boxer was going to beat the brawler, and it shows you there. They are very interesting. The bare knuckle fights. It's very interesting. I understand why they don't do it so often because it's a little bit barbaric. If you ask me, with no equipment and flesh to flesh, it is kind of like you see the cuts and on the hands and the face and so forth. It is a little barbaric, and I understand why they do it. Maybe once a year or twice a year at best. Not too much activity with it because it is kind of like whoa, it's a little and there's certain states might not even want to embrace it or
hmm
sanction it. So it's I understand that, but when it comes out, we will break on it because we are a program that's going to speak about not just MMA, all combat fights. A little bit of everything. And I know we're going to end the program in real quick. I just want to bring up because the program covers everything. I'm going to take a little bit away from the octagon, but into the what we call the square circle, the ring. I watched AEW last night. I just want to comment about the wrestling, the main
Dan
event card.
Lambert?
I mentioned
Oh
to
yeah.
us, yeah,
Go ahead.
I mentioned to Austin outside of the program, the Chris Jericho fight versus
Yeah.
MJP. Was it
Yeah.
excellent, excellent card, excellent from the crowd to the fight. The ending, I told him I couldn't care
Yeah.
less for the way it ended. And the submission move wasn't so hot to they could have ended it better. But kudos to the wrestling crowd that came out. They actually sang the guy's theme song without music. They just out of memory. Jericho has a very popular introduction theme
Song.
song that he sings himself from his band. And man, that was fun. Now, Austin, what do you thought about that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, the crowds in doesn't matter. It's pro wrestling, boxing, MMA crowds that are electric, energetic, all or make this event special. I mean, that's why say what you want about British crowds in boxing are they're known to be some of the most entertaining crowds in all combat sports. Especially when a British boxer brings their fans to America or it fights in England. Even like McGregor with the Irish fans, he brings them to MMA or even or yeah, and here in pro wrestling, the crowd singing, Chris Jericho's theme song, Judas, which is a very catchy song. I mean, I went to an AW event a couple months ago, and I sang the song, and like, yeah, it's pretty impressive. And I saw most of the main event. Yeah, it was a great main event. MJF is one of the rising stars in pro wrestling. Definitely someone to keep your eye out. Definitely, guys talented. From Long Island too. MJF. Jericho's a legend, still on the top of his game, and even at 50, still can keep up with these young guys. Has wrestling IQ here. He's always able to have great matches, and yeah, it was a great night for AEW, and yeah, great main events, and also Dan Lambert from American Top Team was there. Who, the owner of American Top Team. So was Junior Santos. Andre Arlovsky is like his bodyguard type of deal. It's kind of funny. It was like, I never thought I'd see Andre Arlovsky or Junior Santos in pro wrestling, but yeah, I know Dan Lambert loves pro wrestling. He's a great promo guy, so it's kind of cool, because I
Excellent.
always say if you think about MMA origins, it does have ties to pro wrestling in Japan. But I think I explained this a couple videos ago. I could be wrong. I might have, but like how back in the day, Japanese pro wrestlers were had martial arts backgrounds, and then after a while, they decided to see who was the toughest guy, so they created Pancrase. That's we got Ken Shamrock, Thor and Frank Shamrock went there, Boss Ruin, and Morozuki, who still wrestles in New Japan, fought over there. And got in Japan, it was like pro wrestlers going to legit fights to show who was toughest, and then MMA grew in Japan over there in Pride and Sakuraba, and and a lot of that did influence America. UFC was different. It was more about what was the best martial arts in America. So okay, which martial art was the best, but still, MMA has pro wrestling roots. Where you want to admit it or not, it just does. And plus, Ali Inoki, 1976, that mixed fights. If you just Google that, yeah,
There you
that
have
mixed
it.
first MMA fight.
There you
But
have it with that
No,
breakdown of the UFC and all the MMA fights and wrestling and the wrestling and then AEW card. If you saw also an icon return in the ring to on primetime TV to fight was Sting. If everyone knows who Sting. He's looked like he has taken Darby under his wing, and now they're like a tag team, and they everywhere they go they're together, unstoppable. They put up a good show. AEW. Yeah, you also you seen a lot of that emergence. Sammy Guevara, I think he's one of the best young wrestlers in the now. Phenomenal all around fighter, wrestler, entertainer, high flyer. You got and as much slack as I kind of slack and goof on AEW, I say it's WCW cut and copy and paste, but they got some young kids there, and it's very entertaining. I think I have watched more AEW in the past 6 months than the WWE. I'm a big WWE guy, a third generation WWE wrestling fan. My grandfather got me into the wrestling. From I could go back and I could give you history of wrestling like the way Austin did the MMA, and you and yourself, Dan, with the wrestling. All this and I'm a huge wrestling fanatic, but I've been since the pandemic a little bit away from the WWE. I'm going to break down the WWE later on in this program when I start watching it again. I haven't been really invested in it. I do want to see SummerSlam. I think it's this Sunday. You got Roman Reigns versus John Cena. I'm glad they brought him back, although they're getting upset, the fans, that they're bringing older wrestlers back and pushing out the younger talent with the WWE. Goldberg is going to fight Bobby they're going to fight and so forth. And they're bringing part-timers in to wrestle. But I know they have these guys that come in these main events. They got the cachet to pull it. I haven't watched it, and I want to watch John Cena back in the ring. I'm like, oh man, I want to, this John Cena. Even when Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, comes back to fight once in a blue moon, you're gonna catch me as a fan to go want to watch it. The Rock is back. Goldberg is gonna be back. I don't care if he's 57. Look at Sting is almost close to 60, and he's in there. Wrestling, you had kudos to the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. He showed up in AAA wrestling to back up his daughter's fiance. On John, which I kind of find it weird because Flair doesn't really need to, my opinion, to be behind Andrade to me personally, but he's there now. Trying to,
it's management. It's just there for his son-in-law. That's all, like a manager.
Yeah, like a manager, which he don't really need it, but
Right.
it is what it is with that.
Right. It depends. If you rely too much on part timers, that becomes problem, aka WCW in the end, where old guys. Meanwhile, Guerreros, Benoit's, and Booker T's, all them guys. Booker T didn't leave, but those guys leave. You have Jericho. You have all these young guys. Use them, and then next thing you know, you're out of business because a lot of reasons why. Then if you didn't have the young guys, you had them right there. You could have used them, could have kept going, but it's a balance. But I get your point though.
I think the
Right.
balance
And
that
Robert
got
Parcells bring back the old heads.
I think the
Yeah, go ahead,
balance
Dan.
that got lost with wrestling is that after a while, because of FCC and all the the restrictions that happened with wrestling, they decided to more so cater to the kids. And so now, like, when I think, you have the fans, the grown fans that really enjoy the art for what it is, they get mad that, some of the newer guys aren't, coming in. I think that has to do with the twofold. Number one, like you said, those older guys, the A side guys, they have the cachet. There's a reason why they're the A side guys. They're there to bring in the dollars that 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 you necessarily may not spend as a fan, but someone else who the little kid who remembers John Cena and then spent the year throughout the pandemic not watching John, and so now he finally gets John back. He's gonna pay for that merchandise and whatnot. So I think that's where the disconnect comes with that. But AEW, I've been watching a couple of their clips. I haven't been able to watch the program itself, but it's always kept me enticed because the one thing that I don't know, the one thing they've gotten correctly that the WWE hasn't, weirdly enough, is fan interaction.
Yes.
They've gotten it. I don't know, but AEW, it feels like their fans are more involved in the show than WWE.
That's a good point. It is
Yeah.
true. It
Yeah.
does. It feel like that
from
Jacksonville.
the
But
Yeah, Austin has the privilege of gone to a few events there. I haven't been to
which
AEW
one?
yet. I've been to plethora of WWE, WrestleManias, SummerSlam, you name it, I've been to it. And yeah, the way the crowd looks, it looks electric on it looks good for TV. I don't know, it's because the arenas are smaller, maybe, except for Jacksonville. I know that was the Jaguar Stadium, but the baby arena is small. It looks packed. It looks like and it's loud. Who knows? Because they had that same effect with ECW. I don't know if you guys remember ECW. I
Yep.
also had the privilege to go to. I also had the privilege to go to ECW before it was bought by the WWE when they were independent, and that was phenomenal wrestling. That's why I mentioned on the program, if you go to Westchester Knicks, if you go to the Westchester Knicks where they play now, there's a certain spot that you could go and you could say, if you want to talk to players, and you could actually go, it's not really heavily guarded. You could actually see Westchester Knicks players in the back. Because when I used to go to the ECW, I used to see the wrestlers, and I would, talk with from Super Crazy at that time. The Sandman always asked me for cigarettes. I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes. He likes Newports. I'm not a smoker. Hey, you got a Newport, man? Huh? And he's there talking. It's like you. The thing with that fan interaction you were talking about, when it came to ECW, you used to talk with all of them, and they weren't just like, hey, no, they were there and have a chit chat like we are currently on a panel and just talk. I'm Super Crazy. I thought I was going to invite him. I'm like, hey, what are you doing for Christmas? You want to come over for Christmas Eve for dinner? Because it was around that time, and because we spoke over for 45 minutes, and it was like so like friends, like we knew each other. And despite them, and they were great performers. ECW, the crowd, forget about it. The crowd there was electric. Everything, even the toilet matches. The dark matches were engaging, fun. And I think AEW is bringing it and is showing it on TV. Now I flipped to WWE, like you said, it sounds like, and I've been to a lot of WWE. I have had recently before the pandemic. We had suites. We had all the luxury suites. Thank you to the Hard Rock Cafe and my mother who got them for us. And we went to everything catered. Excellent, phenomenal show and all that, but the crowd is different with AEW. It seems like more like people that really bust their butt to earn that money and go watch a good product, and now they're delivering it, despite the fact that there's certain things this is so WCW-ish all over again, but they're engaging, they're captivating because I'm talking about it right now. I'm actually recording it on DVR, and watching it. I don't think I have a WWE Raw recorded there or SmackDown. I don't think I have watched a SmackDown in a while. They're doing something right.
That's crazy that you say that, because I've set wrestling on recording for my mother, and I don't think she's watched it in a while. And like you grew up in wrestling, I grew up in wrestling.
Yep.
So when you said Sandman, I'm like, woo! I'm like you. I bet you probably had a conversation with Tommy Dreamer. Oh man, with Rhino and all of them, like
RVD,
classic man, RVD. Oh my gosh,
RVD, awesome dude, awesome dude. He's like, yo, hey, what's up, man, dude? Like a stoner. When you think about a typical Caucasian stoner, that's RVD. That's RVD. That's RVD. Hey man, what's up? Hey man. No, but hey man, yo, what's going on? Thanks for coming, man. You should see the S I'm gonna do, man. I got some real stuff. And he high flying, and he's like, yo, you're gonna like this, man. I'm like, that kind of, yo, awesome dude. Rhino, you know, fuck, that dude was huge. You know, you name it, you see them there that were there. Of course, you didn't. The only one that I didn't get to see was Paulie Dangerously, you know, behind the scenes. Paulie and all the other, you know, high executive. But you've seen all of them. Taz, I didn't see him. I think what you see, I think Taz is a schmuck. I think what you see is what you get in real life with the character. It doesn't change. I personally think he's a schmuck because he would be like a diva, and you could tell that that he is.
I've watched TNA, so I've seen him on TNA, and like he seems like a guy who just like Taz is stiff with no neck.
Sabu.
That's Sabu. Yeah,
awesome. Sabu,
awesome dude. Another awesome dude. You know, really nice guy to talk to too. These guys were all down the back smoking the cigarette outside in cold. It's cold, by the way, and we're walking, and they're the ones that engage and call you because they wanted a freaking cigarette, and they were like, "Hey, come here." So you go and have a cigarette. I don't smoke him, but okay, they're like, "All right, for me, you didn't get what I needed from you." No, they would talk with you and stay there and talk to you.
Because I
did not meet Terry Funk.
Because they know having fans don't hurt. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like for some odd reason, I don't remember what Tommy Dreamer's character was about. I just knew that I liked the guy.
He was a tough guy, and he's born and raised in Yonkers, New York. Before he got to be in the wrestling business, he was a pizza delivery boy, literally for a pizzeria on Yonkers Avenue, and he would deliver pizza. His dad, I think, owned the pizzeria, and he'll be a delivery boy. And he was a pizza delivery kid, a kid from humble roots, and he got into the wrestling. And look where he's at, still in TNA wrestling, still out there and still performing. And another good dude. There's a lot of young guys, wrestlers that, you know, they were very nice. And also, not only when you saw the wrestlers in the back, when the fight was going on, the way that the Westchester Civic Center is set up, and then for the ECW wrestling, there was like a side note, and some of the wrestlers will come and watch the other wrestlers perform. And when you see them walking, like, and I see the wrestlers, and they will ask you to come, you know, they remember you, and then you continue to head outside. That's why I said I was going to spend almost 45 minutes to an hour. What was super crazy was I was watching the match, not in my seat, but on the upper, you know, when the second level, there's like you could sit in the second level, and I was sitting in the front, but then there's underneath the second level, like over to the left, the way that it's set up, there was like a dark space where the concession stands, and that's where I would stand and talk with these different wrestlers that would just come up and just have a conversation with you. And it was phenomenal. I think I even I remember it was taped and it was aired on MSG when ECW, and then in the opening shots, I was sitting. You could see me where my seats and my you know, my high school friends and a childhood friend. We were all, it was like four of us, and we were right there front of. We weren't front row, but we were like upper. So when the camera hit us, we were just sitting there with our goofy smiles, you know, at that, you know, and we would watch the ECW fights and go whenever they had it in that event venue, because it was a good venue to watch. It was fun, and if you ever have a chance to do it for that, wrestling is fun. And I was in WWE as well. WWE, I have sat ringside, close to the ringside, for house events. When the house events are and MSG, when I lived in New York, my uncle will get the MSG tickets. I've seen Mr. Perfect up close versus the late Texas Tornado. Well, both of them are dead. And that was good fights. I've been, you know, good seats. One guy I hated to be near the ringside was Hack Sergeant Duggan, because whenever Andre the Giant will clothesline him he'll spit, and that spit will go all over. And when you're sitting close, you don't. Ugh, that was the one thing. Yeah, the spit and one man gang, and then that same fight he was wrestling, Andre the Giant grabbed him in the corner and slapped him on his chest, and a nastiest, biggest, snobby booger came down. I mean, it was like, oh, gross. It looked like the cartoon, like, oh.
But when Andre the Giant slapped your chest, everything gonna come out.
Yeah, Andre slapped you.
He literally slapped the boogers out of Hack Sergeant Duggan, man. That's some memories that and to this day I got. I'm like, how could you remember? Like that. But no, but wrestling, it's fun. It's good. I advise you guys. The AEW, I think it's up and coming. I hope they come to Orlando. I doubt it, because this is the home of the WWE training facility. We're like, their complex is not far from where we live. It's like
10-15 minute drive. Is that
10-15 minute drive. Yeah. My wife has seen Prince Albert in the gas station, filling up gas when he was in the performance center as an instructor. John Cena has been filling up nearby, like a couple gas stations away from my house right now. I've never seen them, but that's what they claim. That they seen them and the pictures. Oh man, we just saw Cena, and so they're all over the place here. So it is interesting.
Have you guys seen the picture? Have you guys seen the picture of Black John Cena roaming around the internet?
Oh, that's hilarious. It looks just like him. It looks like him, man. It's hilarious.
I was gonna say before that. Yeah, it's funny. I was gonna say there's several AEW wrestlers live in Orlando. Like, I'm not gonna. Some of them do. Yeah, depends. And WWE wrestlers, it's if you're in the right spots, you'll see them. But yeah, like you mentioned, wrestling, ECW wrestlers interact with the fans, and like wrestling in general. And you mentioned like UFC, how UFC does the meet and greets, these events. You get to meet the fighters, talk to them too. Yeah, so interacting with your fans. It's something I feel like, I don't know if boxing does that. It'd be cool if boxing did that more. I don't know if they do, but like maybe if, like, for example, if somehow Terrence Crawford was in the crowd, or like, Holyfield, and they're able to do a thing, we can meet and greet them. That'd be pretty dope, right? Especially if you don't watch
the fact that we don't know that they're doing something wrong.
Oh, I used to be called the Black Gold Dust.
Oh wow! Oh no!
No!
Oh god! He's killing AEW. Doing well. Give him credit.
Yeah, he's doing well. Yeah, he does. He still wrestles. He still does well.
I love the fact that it's him and his brother. Working together in AEW. Like that's a really lovely thing. And I don't know if AEW came to fruition. What it was before their father passed away, right?
No, it was after.
I feel like their father did it.
No. He died in 2015.
No, he died. Yeah.
He died before they did AEW?
Yes, he died before he did, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and I don't think if his dad was alive, I don't think AEW would have been come to fruition, because Dusty had a contract with the WWE, and he was an instructor. I don't think AEW, maybe, who knows, but I don't think AEW would have been born if Dusty was alive. Right? That's just my opinion, my thought. Well, and yes, Robert Parr, Goldust is still wrestling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's still wrestling. Yeah.
And good fight matches too. He had a couple good matches in the beginning. He was really good. Very good fight. He still got it, man.
Right? Yeah, still got it. Shocking.
You know what I noticed though with AEW, someone like Sting, when Sting fought was it Triple H in WrestleMania, he looked terrible. Yes. Like he couldn't move. He was a stiff. He looked horrible, old. He looked like he needed to go to. It was a bad fight. I watched him today, and the match he fought in Double or Nothing, and he looked great. I'm like, what the hell? And Goldust too. He looked kind of tired, hack, and in WWE, and then he fought AEW. He looked at his matches looked good. I don't know if it's because the competition, the fighters that he fought, but
no,
they looked
what
great.
I think it is. You know what I think it is? Maybe because it's Cody Rhodes who's running it, and he's lived the life of a wrestler. He understands what that schedule is between house shows and the shows that air on TV. So maybe through the contract he has with TNT, he goes, you know what, we're not gonna do as much house shows, but when we do, go on the air, we're gonna look our absolute best, and so guys get time to recuperate. Because that's the one thing with wrestlers, they don't get the time to recuperate like that.
Right. It's one reason why they're all a bunch of them are on pills and drugs, and they end up dying left and right, which it contributes to a lot of their deaths. Let's just be honest. The schedule, then they get on pills, and next thing you know, they're dead at 41.
Especially when you watch the
Benoit documentary.
When I watched the Dark Side of the Ring for
Yes.
Eddie Guerrero.
Benoit, yes, that was. Yeah,
oh, Chris Benoit as well.
That's the best. It was Benoit, but it's tied into Eddie as well.
It tied into Eddie. You're right. It tied into Eddie so well. That's what you're right. It was Benoit, but it tied into Eddie because those two were like this. Yes. And like when you hear the schedule that they have, it's like no wonder these guys. And then it was a schedule that, like, number one, that the WWE made for them, but also like
W2, yeah.
But it was a schedule like they had to make for themselves because they made a generation of wrestlers that was more appealing.
Right. Yeah.
So right. Exactly. That was the pros and cons of that. That was the pros and cons to that. There, Robert Parr said a kid got hit in the head by a Yankee home run. Was that Stanton?
Ooh.
Hey, Stanton, did you hit a home run, Stanton?
He did it one.
Stanton. Yeah. And they need, what was this? They need a bad body wrestling. Dad bod. And hence the.
Hey, old wrestlers back in the day, if you look at them, didn't have the greatest bodies. I mean, not just Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, hell no.
Harley Race, he was a tough NWA wrestler. He was a tough bastard. Harley Race still didn't have the greatest body. I mean, a lot of those NWA.
Bruno Sammartino, Gorilla Monsoon didn't have a good body. The body started getting
the Giant was just big. He was big.
Yeah, that's what he was.
He was big.
Kamala wasn't nothing. He the Samoans, Sika and Afada. You started seeing
Rikishi made a whole. Rikishi, like, he was not the most fit athlete, but like I think you know what I think it is? It's like, yo, these guys don't, like, some of the newer guys, maybe the WWE doesn't give them a chance, and that's why some of them you see they're leaving of their own volition, but these guys, they don't have a chance to market themselves properly. Because like you remember it was Grandmaster Cool, Rikishi, and Scotty 2 Hotties. And they was just it was the crew.
Yeah.
And they was just dancing. And like after it's something so genius but so simple. After the matchup, they sitting there celebrating, and then everyone lines up, and then they stop. Lights come on, everything, and then the beat comes on, and they bust a little. I used to do that dance in my living room, man.
I know.
I still remember that to this day. I remember all the moves. It was simple, but it's effective. It works.
Let me ask a question. Are you you must be a New Day fan?
I found them annoying at first, but after a while, I'm like, yeah, these guys are funny.
They're good with the pancakes and all that. They grew on me.
I hate them.
Nah, they're funny.
I love Kobe.
They're good.
I love Kobe Kingston.
I know.
I like them too, but this New Day game just
No, but see, this is why I enjoyed them. Right when they first came on the scene, I thought what they were doing was just plain old annoying, and but then it started getting on the crowd's nerves. But then that started getting on my nerves some more because I'm like, yo, why y'all even? All right, why do I care so much? You know what? You got it. You made me care. You got it. So that's when you
the power of positivity.
Like when you got it like that, I just have no choice but and then that run with New Day helped Kofi get the WWE Championship, and that was major for them.
Yes,
I was so happy. I was so ecstatic and happy when he won the belt. You know, from because of his stature of body weight, it's not the typical heavyweight champion. You know, we had champions that weren't typical body weight stature that we know that what a heavyweight should look like. You know, go back as far as Macho Man, if you ask me, and with the body weights of the wrestlers like Robert Parsons, Vader, Bundy, but I think they were former football players that transitioned to that. They didn't make it. Vader was an offensive lineman for the Rams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he was. Brian Pillman was an offensive. Yeah, they're mostly ex-WWE, mostly been part of football in some. Hogan was also cut by a football team.
Simmons.
The body, Ron Simmons, Florida State legend. You know, phenomenal. Look up Dwayne Johnson for Miami, but look up Ron Simmons in Florida State stats and records. That man was a freaking problem when he was in collegiate. Ooh. That man was a problem in Florida State University.
Stats that make you say, damn.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Damn.
And the wrestlers started changing their physique when superstar Billy Graham started coming out. That guy was ripped, cut, chiseled at that, in the early 70s. And then Hogan imitated that, And I think that's when the amphetamines and the anabolic steroids and so on started coming into there. You also had guys like Hercules Hernandez. That guy was totally ripped. I mean, I think, one of the most physique, well-built men that I ever seen was Ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. His small waist, his abdominals cut perfect, the arms cut, not over big. What a perfect man will look like, except, that's the, like, wow, that's phenomenal. Wow, what a physique for a man, like that's, no, like, wow. Like,
I understand what you're saying. Like, as far as like the physical features of what, yeah, I understand that. Cause like the person who took it too far was, Scott Steiner.
Yeah, I was about to say Steiner. He had a good box. He didn't need it. It hurts wrestling ability. It did.
But that became his stick. Gimmick. Like that became his story. Was like he had to be Big Papa Pump.
Yeah,
that was the problem there. He kind of stole a little bit of Billy Graham-ish, because Billy Graham, before his injury, was kind of like what Big Papa Pump stole that gimmick from Billy Graham. Yeah. Billy Graham's gimmick was stolen a little bit by Hogan, Scott Steiner, kind of like that type of dog, like that. Ventura too, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Look, who else comes to mind when you say that? Mr. Perfect.
Oh, but Mr. Perfect he wasn't cut.
No, it wasn't.
Like
no.
But that charisma,
it wasn't like the physique or whatever. But what you want to take away is that cockiness. That's what they had. That
charisma. I'm Mr. Perfect, and I get what I want. I love. I was like, wow. Those are those microphone skills that those wrestlers in the '80s, phenomenal. Yeah. The greatest wrestler that still lives is Ric Flair. He never had a hell of a physique. He looked like a sausage.
Yeah, but when he was on the mic, man, when he was certain guys,
the best. He would talk the talk, and he would wrestle a hell of a match, not being the most physique and dominant. Awesome. One of the best matches to start. Long matches. Him and Ricky Steamboat, classic fights. Anyone you want to watch with him and Ricky Steamboat, any Starcade, any fight, phenomenal fight. Ric Flair bought it night in, night out. That's why I think he's a better. Hogan was the better showman, but Flair was the better wrestler. If you want to compare that there, Razor Ramon was very cocky. I remember, when he came up and blew up in the scene in WWE, that was phenomenal. And he was a has-been in WCW. He was spinning his wheels, Vinny Vegas, Diamond Cutter. And then when he came to WWE, that gimmick, just transpired and changed everything. And the physique started getting changed in the early 80s, late 70s with Jesse Ventura, Rocky Johnson's father. That dude was ripped. With Butch Reed, the Natural, they started changing. The physique started changing. But Now you got guys like, you know, Batista when he first came onto the scene. I was like, shit, that dude, shit, that, you know, he's a big tool dude, you know, ripped. Like, wow, these guys are like, what the, those anabolic steroids really changed the physique there. Ultimate Warrior, unfortunately, you know, he suffered that heart attack because of the steroids, you know.
But which is why, like, I, you know, guys like Batista, they did so much of those that, you know, you had a refresh. You had a refreshing feeling in Daniel Bryan when he came out. When he had his run, you remember Daniel Bryan when he had the yes movement?
Yes.
That was oh my God.
Yeah, he was over saying yes. I mean, Michigan State doing it, the Seattle Seahawks, and they won the Super Bowl.
Dude,
I mean,
his version of the belt and what, like, his version of the belt was so popular that now when a sports team wins a championship, they get that version of the belt. He made that version of the belt popular.
And he's signing with AEW.
Yep.
Allegedly, yeah. And the New York show, that's the rumor. After the, you know, next month in New York, that's where he's supposed to make his debut. Allegedly, we don't know.
What, for AEW?
Yes.
Yes.
Woo! Woo!
That's why they're claiming
him go, man.
Because there's a couple wrestlers that are claiming that Vince McMahon owns AEW, has something to do with it, because for him to let go of all these talent like nothing, and they know they're fleeing right to that. They're saying there's something behind it. There's something too fishy, because McMahon ain't that senile or that or old like that with his kids running, Shane and Steffi with Jean Pierre, which is Triple H behind the scenes. They're not just gonna let that. You know, they you know, they said there's something behind. There's something behind there.
It's the
I believe that too. I believe that too, but I won't be surprised if he owns something, because that man is a monopoly. That man monopolized all the wrestling federations. He crushed his competition, and that man is a wrestling genius mind. He knows the sport entertainment business ins and outs. Smart move getting paid by Peacock for his app. And just, you know what? Let that, you know, if people are not subscribing no more or can't afford that's on Peacock now. I got my money, my app, my product, you know. And if Peacock fails or don't want to continue or don't have subscription, I just go to ESPN Plus, or I just move my enterprise somewhere else, and he's gonna make money. That's kudos to him and being smart on that, you know. And he, you know, say what you say, he's still a genius. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's
not anymore.
What I can say though is that you notice the genius is starting to slip a little. And when I noticed that the genius was slipping a little, like, I long noticed it before, but when I really took note, I was like, oh, maybe like this was a true admission, like a true admission of like, yo, I've been messing it up, was when AJ Styles and Samoa Joe ended up on WWE. I feel like when guys from TNA, like TNA had some original characters who I felt like they wasted their talents on TNA. And I felt like if those storylines were on WWE, it would have taken the sport to a whole different level. I think and a lot of those guys, the way because I read up and watched a lot of videos on what happened between them, and the way it didn't seem like a lot of those guys, were just like they were trying to get into the WWE, and the WWE just said like, you know what, we don't have the space for you. It's just like they felt like straight up, we don't believe that your guys' gimmick could work. So they all grouped together and formed TNA, and that thing was rocking for a while, man. I was watching TNA. I remember I was watching both TNA and WWE, and for a while I didn't know which one was better, to a point where like I kind of started like looking forward to TNA more. I was looking forward to watching the main event Mafia and seeing those guys come out in the suits and Kurt Angle knowing his old ass is gonna somersault off of something and this and whatever. Like, these guys, they knew what they were doing, and so when those guys started to show up on WWE, I felt like, yep, that was an admission of guilt right there. That was an admission of, yo, the genius is slipping and I messed up, and I should have capitalized on something there, and I didn't.
I think it was the Daniel Bryan situation. Personally, for me, when when they went with Batista to win the Rumble, which made no sense because they made Batista look bad. They're trying to make him as a baby face, but yet everyone Bryan and the new, and they claim, oh, that was the plans. It was not their plans. That was never the plan.
That was never.
That they were forced to put Bryan. That the fans forced them, and Vince had to admit that he messed up royally, and then CM Punk leaving that helped Bryan out.
I was just about to say that name. Matter of fact, that's
he
when
signed. He signed with AEW. He'll make his appearance, I think, Friday night in Chicago. Yeah.
Supposedly, in Chicago.
Oh my God, literally, that's when I truly thought that I was like, Vince McMahon has lost control and he don't know what he's doing. Because when CM Punk started the pipe bomb,
yes,
and when he started, the first night when he hit John Cena with it, and it went to the point where they had to extend Raw's time. Like, there was a show that was supposed to show on USA that night, and it did not show because CM Punk was going on. And I remember watching that night, and I was like, this is genius because it caught my attention, but this isn't Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon didn't do this. This is CM Punk by himself.
Right, yeah. And then they squashed it, and then they messed up the summer of Punk for some odd reason. I have Kevin Nash getting involved for no reason, and then Punk lost to Triple H, and then all that dumb stuff, and then John Cena never put him over clean. Yet CM Punk's champion for a year, but yet CM Cena's always main event pay-per-views, even when it makes no sense for him to do it. And then they squashed that, and then CM Punk maybe it's a pay-per-view when Cena's involved. It's like, come on.
Oh man, it was lovely. It was lovely when CM Punk got the title.
Yes.
And the first thing he thought, maybe I'll just go to another promotion. I said, oh no, Vince didn't authorize this. Vince is president of Panic, but it's not Panic.
Because it happened before. Wrestlers have won a belt, and the following week, they showed up on another promotion. It happened with Alundra Blades, aka Medusa. She won the women's belt, the WWE women's belt, and then literally 24 hours later showed up on the first Monday night WCW Monday Nitro ever in September, and she took the WWE belt and threw it right in the trash. I don't want and that was a slap to the Vince didn't know that he got caught sidetracked, and that's why he panicked when it came to the screw job in Montreal. He allowed Bret the Hart to leave. He says, "Yeah, you could leave to WCW. You could sign your contract. I'm not gonna." And but he wasn't going. He said, "Well, let me go up on top. Let me leave on top of the in Canada, and especially Montreal, beating Michaels, and then I'll just leave, vacant the title or whatever." Vince was like, "Oh yeah. Go ahead, Austin."
Yeah, you're right about that. But I think he was gonna put not Stone. I think Stone Cold or like Ken Shamrock over. Yeah, it was supposed to be or Michaels in America. I think because he was mad. Michaels basically said, "I would never, do the job for you." Basically,
yeah.
Michaels being a dick, and that's why Bret Hart didn't want to drop the belt to him. Michaels,
because him and Triple H
didn't like each other.
Run around like they own the whole place.
Right. And so that's why that screw job came, and that's why Michaels got kind of upset when he won. Even I'm like, I remember watching that live, and I'm like, why is Shawn Michaels upset with McMahon bring the belt?
It's crazy because even then, I know it was controversial and it helped build a controversy, but I think I think if he did it Bret's way, it would have been way better because it would have added a type of legitimacy to the WWE that it doesn't have now, to where I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes I think what's the best way for them to sell new belts that matter? It is how do you make a division matter? Well, you technically made no divisions matter.
Yeah, but you know what? It actually, if you look, hindsight is 2020. But if you look at it now, personally, it actually benefited WWE the way they did that Montreal screw job, because we're still talking about it. There's still documentaries. It still captivates. You still want to know more about it, and even though Bret Hart the next night didn't show up on Nitro, but Bischoff went with it crazy with the flags and, you know, Bret Hart is coming here. And when Bret Hart arrived to WCW, it totally was the downfall of WCW because he sucked. You know, he got injured there, yes. Unfortunately, by Goldberg kicking him in the head and all sort. And he wasn't it kind of like drew the life out of there. And that's what was the downfall. It's like it started spiraling when you associate the downfall of WCW, and it has nothing to do with Bret Hart, but he was one of the last big key acquisition that's when it just started tanking. So you know like so it doesn't look good. So if you look at it, it was like, wow, good thing McMahon let this guy go because he didn't fit. Bret Hart didn't fit the Attitude Era.
Oh no, I don't disagree as far as like whether he fits the Attitude Era, right? But my thing is like, regardless of whether you were gonna like whether Bret was gonna go, regardless, right? But my thing is like, if you let him go out on top, and you have a tournament for the title, now when you get a vacated a title, more Survivor Series in the original Survivor Series format. You remember the original Survivor Series format? That was crazy, and I don't think they're ever going to do that again. Mm-hmm. But it was really great, and I feel like that original Survivor Series format has a lot of potential. But they could have done a lot more of that, and you could have had more legitimacy to certain titles. Because now, if a certain wrestler is giving up the Intercontinental title to get the heavyweight title, now it don't feel like it's a formality. Well, first this wrestler has to get the Intercontinental title in order for him to look like a heavyweight, title. Like now,
that was a stepping stone.
It becomes a stepping stone, and so now you have layers. But because he didn't do that, like that's why a lot of these titles are changing nowadays because they have no legitimacy to them.
Right. Yeah. Also, Montreal Screwjob did create the Vince McMahon character too. So helped it, which definitely helped out, especially with Stone Cold. Yeah, so that's all.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of good things came to fruition out of it. That's why I kind of no, she's walking the door. Yeah, and that's why I kind of like that. With the way that happened, going forward with that. So that's a big positive with that, and then with like you said, with the traditional, with all the belts, I would have liked them to continue bringing the European title in WWE. That was a pretty interesting belt there. You didn't like it? I thought it was okay.
But why? I mean, how many Europeans do you have? I mean, how often did he go to Europe? I mean, I never understood.
Well, they had a W. I don't know if they still had it, but they had the WWE Europe where they got Finn Balor, Paige. So forth. I don't know what I haven't followed, so I don't know. Yeah, you're right with that European belt.
It's like New Japan with the US title. It's like you're a Japanese company. Why don't you create the Japan title?
Right. But they still have the USA title belt. That was, I like the concept that they took some belts from the WCW when they merged it. Well, and with that, I loved it when McMahon bought Monday Nitro and they showed up on Nitro and they quickly came on the air and they made it seem like Shane bought it over and he was gonna go against Vince, but then they merged it. That was cool. And what was kind of screwed up, in my opinion, when they fired Lex Luger and Bagwell right on the telecast. I was like,
not Bagwell. They did. You're right. No, it was Jeff Jarrett.
It was all of them. They fired them right on the spot. I'm like, ugh. And then Jarrett just finished getting released by the WWE. I didn't know he was even working with them.
Yeah.
No, sometimes they'll keep a wrestler's contract to keep them from another promotion.
No, yeah.
That's That's why I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with Bray Wyatt, because I'm hearing that he's asking for a contract termination.
He's been released. He's released. He's no longer with the WWE. He's released. Braun Strowman is released from the WWE. There's a lot of head scratching maneuvers. So they're talking about a Wyatt family reunion and call it something else. Dark Order, which was Brody Lee was the guy that passed away from one of the Riot family last year.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to bring that Dark Order with them reunion in AEW, but I don't know if a non-compete I think they signed a non-compete clause for a while, so that's why you're not going to see them. But I think who was the wrestler that Addison Black? He had a non-compete and he showed up earlier than his non-compete. So I don't know. But they weren't using him either in the WWE. They didn't utilize some of these wrestlers too much. One wrestler, and we're gonna end in about 5 minutes, or maybe less than that. Yeah, definitely.
No, this is what wrestling does, man. When Brock Lesnar and Undertaker was fighting, can I tell you, like, I was in a watch party with a whole bunch of grown ass men who paid for, they all pocket shared the pay-per-view, and we in a hotel watching with mad alcoholic beverages, and we sitting there like we all know what's going to happen, but we sitting there like, what you think is going to happen? How Vince wrote it, this, that, but like we couldn't miss it. It's Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. It's a streak. Like when it brings, it is what it is, man. But continue with
when I was a kid, when the kids were younger, Austin and his brother, I used to know about wrestling. Sometimes I didn't even have to go into the Yahoo pages or read up, and because I watched it so long, you kind of know already what's going to happen. Yeah. So I used to tell the kid, I talked to Vince McMahon today. He told me this was going to happen, and it used to happen. So I don't know if they believed that I used to talk to Vince McMahon, and because they used to happen, because so many years that I watched it when they were little, they were gullible, they're kids, they're innocent. And I used to tell them,
Austin, get your face up on the camera right now. Answer the question.
What?
Did you believe that he had to connect to Vince?
Okay. No, actually, the first time, yes. The second after that, nah. Because I'm like, why would? Because I kind of knew, it's like, wait a minute, why would Vince talk to you and offer you tickets, good tickets? Hey, where the good tickets?
Guys, maybe him and Vince
grew. 24. I said, if you knew Vince, we got the front row. WrestleMania 24. If you knew Vince,
maybe him and Vince.
God, WrestleMania. I'm sorry, but. WrestleMania 24, we were really up there, man. We could have light up the fireworks that night because that's how high up we were, man. That's the famous retirement of Ric Flair the first time around with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, man, guys, it's been a pleasure to talk about. We'll talk more wrestling now that we know about it. We know that we can talk more wrestling. The Yankees won, by the way. Thanks to Robert Parr to letting us know. The Yankees won 7-4 or 7-3, if I'm not mistaken.
The Mets are playing the Dodgers right now.
The Mets are playing the Dodgers. I have to do a Mets talk about and also a watch along, but I got to do a short video on the Mets. And hopefully they start this 4-game series with the Dodgers on a good note. But with all that, get that notification, that like. If I do the Manny Pacquiao watch along too, join us. I'm definitely on that. And we'll talk about the fight. Oh man, whatever the case is, and we have to do an MMA look along too. I don't know which one. I'll think of one. Just maybe the Joel Romero fight when he comes to Bellator. We'll do it. Because we both like them. And guys, I want to thank you so much. I'm going to put the intro, and we'll see you next week or whenever we come on the air. I salute to you. Have a good night. I appreciate